The budget process is underway. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me is Pennsylvania State Representative Keith Gillespie. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, Jill. Great to be back with you and your viewers. Thank you.
The budget proposal, $28.4 billion budget. Let's get into some of the details. Let's first start with transportation funding. There was a commission about 2 years ago at this point related to transportation. Some of those ideas are now being addressed legislatively during this budget process. Talk to us a little bit about the need for transportation funding and some of the ideas being put forward in the session.
Okay, great starting point. Of course, we all remember that unfortunate incident out in Illinois, Indiana a couple years ago where that bridge collapsed and a number of people were killed as a result of the bridge coming down and collapsing on the cars. And it was due to inferior maintenance or prolonged maintenance or delayed maintenance on a particular structure, and it ultimately collapsed under the right conditions. There's been an analysis done of some of the bridge and roadways in Pennsylvania, and clearly there are literally hundreds of bridges and roads that are on the point that they either are not safe or nearing the point of their useful life and will no longer be safe. And that's where you start to see your detours and the closing down of those processes. It's estimated it's about a $3 billion problem to have the funding to restore these bridges and roads to their peak condition and obviously the safety for everybody involved. Of course, is how do you get there? With gas approaching $4 a gallon as we've seen over the last couple of periods, to enact a gas tax is probably not going to garner a number of the votes in the General Assembly that it may have had in a previous time. Also, with people driving more fuel-efficient cars and maybe less, combining their trips, et cetera, there isn't going to be the resources from the increased gas tax to be able to pay for that. So how do you do it? There's actually a tax called an oil company franchise tax that's on gasoline that has not been adjusted for inflation for probably about 10 or 15 years.
This was actually capped.
Right. It was capped that it cannot go up past a certain figure. And that was when gas was about $2 a gallon. So even though we long for those days, that was a long time ago. So to get up with inflation, the governor's proposal was just to remove that and then phase it in over a 5-year period. That would provide somewhere between $1.5 billion and $2 billion to be allocated towards this $3 billion hole to get us a real good jump start on fixing these roads and bridges. And
that's just one of the ideas. You also want to change the frequency of vehicle registrations and licenses. What would that mean in terms of funding?
Again, another great point. The currently registrations for vehicles are every year. Whether you have a car, a truck, or a motorcycle, you get an invoice once a year and you pay that. Driver's licenses are 4 years here in the Commonwealth. The governor's proposing to take the vehicles to 2 years and then the driver's license to 6 years. Again, there would be additional revenue coming in that they'd be able to use and invest. And then you get to keep your license and registration for a longer period of time.
And I want to quickly get to education, and we just have a short time left. There would be an increase in the basic ed subsidy by 1.7%, but some people have said that this actually doesn't go far enough because there had been cuts to basic ed in previous years.
Well, with the loss of the federal stimulus dollars, that's the big thing. It was when that was instituted, it was only to be there for 2 years, and people were warned ahead of time not to start new programs, hire new people, and depend on that money. Last year, we gave more money than was ever funded for basic education. This year, it's being proposed an additional $300 million for basic education, and 90 of that for growth factor, which is something very near and dear here to South Central Pennsylvania.
Come back, give us an update. Let us know how this is all progressing.
Will do. Thank you, Jill.
We've been talking with Pennsylvania State Representative Keith Gillespie. I'm Jill Horner.